maybe I can just ask, is there somebody that needs us to repeat that Wi-Fi password? Please, you can...
The password is DIDW4, capital letter W, at capital letter A, FRI.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Monique. Monique has mentioned that we are live streaming at the moment. We even had international media. We have some here today, but also that would follow this. But I also want to, we also have the public following this, but I just want to have a short message to Afriforum members out there. I'm going to do it in both Afrikaans and English. Maar wat ons het baie dankie wil sê aan elke Afriforum lid. Ons weet Afriforum is nie 'n regeringsorganisasie wat belastinggeld kry nie, maar ons moet toenemend werk vervul. En dit word uitsluitlik moontlik gemaak deur julle as Afriforum lede. Baie dankie daarvoor. Julle maak Afriforum sterk. What I was just saying, as you know, Afriforum, we don't get tax income, as it's quite clear that we have a tsunami, and you don't stop a tsunami, you simply try and get on the wave and do it as best possible. Thank you for coming at such short notice. What is important for us, if we want to fight corruption, we need to be transparent ourselves. And that's why we weren't able to tell you any lies this morning. We were simply able to say, well, we were going to make the announcement. So thank you for doing your job this vigorously. I think that's an important pillar of democracy, is a vigorous media, as we've seen this morning. Also active citizens. And we are happy that we can celebrate what we are doing today. This is a big day for us. I can now officially announce that from 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, the 1st of February, Advocate Gerrie Nel would be the head of Afriforum's private prosecution unit. So his first day at the office is tomorrow. We are looking forward to that. We believe we can make a big difference at Afriforum. We believe citizens cannot simply become the victims of history. Citizens can make history and be active and not just sit back and say, well, government must do everything. It's possible for citizens to say, we are going to be active and make sure that this beautiful country functions to the best it can, to the benefit of all people in the country. And private prosecutions, Advocate Gerrie Nel would say much more about that. I'm not going to speak long. I'm sure you actually came to listen to him. But it is possible, according to South African legislation, when the National Prosecuting Authority decides not to prosecute, it's not that easy as it seems, but it is possible to do public prosecutions, and that is the road we are taking at Afriforum. Why are we doing this? I think we share the feeling of many South Africans from all communities, all walks of life, all cultures, all socioeconomic groups, that we are tired of corruption, and we believe that we are also tired of that taxpayers' money are being looted at the moment. And of course, we know that the people that are affected the most by this are poor people that need the benefits that come from taxpayers' money. And we believe, therefore, this is also a hand of friendship that Afriforum gives out to all South Africans to say it's in all our interest that we make sure that there is accountability and that we can work towards that goal in the interest of everybody. Just with regard to what we want to get out of this, we want to make sure that there's a clear message going out to officials, politicians in all spheres of government, local government, provincial government, national government, that nobody is above the law. Doesn't matter who you are, even if you're the president, you are not above the law. And what we intend to do now is, in those cases where we see that public prosecuting authority does not prosecute, we can move in But we are not going to name people now that we are taking on. Gerrie Nel would say he believes in the integrity of the judiciary in the same way we do. So we won't go into a trial by media. We will make sure that people are held accountable in court. And that's why we won't say who we're going to take on now. My last point, it was quite nice to follow what happened on Twitter this morning. Good stuff to read. And unfortunately, you see a few people that are negative, and I think that is something that I would want to just talk to only a minute or so. People saying, well, you know, Afriforum is this Afrikaner group, and this is not going to be good or whatever. But the fact is, from Afriforum side, we are not ashamed of the fact that we do take on issues that are of interest to Afrikaners. We believe in democracy. Every community needs a voice, and we also want to make sure that everybody is heard. But if you look at most of the work we do, is in the interest of all South Africans. And I can put a number of cases. The Walmanstal Communal Property Association, which is a totally black group that we assisted in court for them to get their land back when it was invaded by people. We work with taxi associations in community safety structures. We fix potholes. We make sure that water is clean. We take on Eskom when they want to cut electricity, we believe unfairly. And of course, if you look at, we're not saying Eskom should not just cut off the power of Afrikaners, or only Afrikaners should use the roads that we fix. So most of our work is in the interest of all South Africans, and therefore I fail to see why people can be negative about this when we know that it is in the interest of all South Africans that we make sure that there is equality before the law and that people are held accountable. That's all I have to say, and it's my privilege now to introduce to you Advocate Gerrie Nel.
Good afternoon. This is a first for me. I'd hoped that I would never have to sit behind lots of microphones and address the media. I haven't prepared anything. I've made a couple of notes whilst I sat here. As Mr. Kriel said, we thought that we'll have time, but the media interest was just way too big. I just want to make it clear that this decision wasn't a sudden decision, wasn't something that I decided on yesterday. There's been consultation and conversation going back a year or more about my career and about what I would want to do. But when I made a decision, I decided to implement the decision. It wasn't easy. I just want to say that I'm a prosecutor. I'm a prosecutor at heart. I will always be a prosecutor. I just think that the prosecutors in our country are brilliant. We have the most brilliant prosecutors in South Africa. I'm just one of them. I just did a matter that was all over the media, but we have an unbelievable core of prosecutors in this country. And I'm with them in heart, and I will always be a prosecutor. It was very difficult for me. Even this morning it was difficult. I'm leaving behind a lifetime. 36 years of prosecution is a lifetime. I did it because I wanted to. I did it because I thought I was making a difference. I did it because I thought I was acting for people without voices in prosecution. My main concern, when I was approached by Afriforum, we had various discussions and lots of discussions, and my main concern has always been that everybody should be equal before the law. I've known and I've read and I've seen more and more perception that there might be selective prosecutions. And if that is so, then I think it's absolutely brilliant to have an organization that can just make sure that everybody's really equal before the law, that there are no selective prosecutions. And I just asked myself the question, it's only Afriforum that came up with this concept. It's only Afriforum that's willing to put resources there to create such a office And because they would want to do that, I certainly would want to help. And I've not had a single question about my political affiliation at any discussions with Afriforum. I've never had a political agenda, and I don't have one now. You know, I've been a prosecutor for 36 years, and I think I've built up integrity that I'm proud of over the period of 36 years. I won't sell it. I won't sell my integrity and do something that I don't believe in. That being said, we start a new organization, a new office tomorrow. So I kindly challenge everybody to follow my career further and to see if I've changed from the integrity that I built up over a period of 36 years. And now all of a sudden I take different decisions and prosecute different people and prosecute people differently. So for me, having decided to remain a prosecutor forever, when I was approached that I could still be a prosecutor and be in the private practice and make a difference, I jumped at it. You know, I understand all the perceptions. And the only thing that I would want people to do is to follow us, criticize us. If we do anything wrong, if you think we have some other agenda, you're out there. Challenge us with that, and I'm sure we won't have any of those challenges. I agree with Mr. Kriel. We have decided not to prosecute people through the media. You know, we've decided not to. I think it's a harmful and hurtful process of splashing all over the media who you're pursuing and what you're pursuing. But once we've decided to pursue a certain matter, we will certainly do so. In terms of the Act, if we get a certificate to prosecute, to do a private prosecution, we have 3 months to institute a prosecution. So we will take our time, we'll look at all the matters, and then prosecute within 3 months. May I just say that there'll be lots of questions by lots of people with more knowledge about the law than I do that would say, but this is not possible. There'll be challenges. There certainly will be challenges, but at least there's an office that will look at all these challenges, that would challenge the law and see if it's possible. I'm not saying, and that's not what we're putting on the table, that there'll be a prosecution within 2 months or 3 months. We first have to really look at the concept. I haven't had time. You know, last week I was still a prosecutor in Vereeniging prosecuting a matter. And now I'm sitting here, I'm just excited to be part of something new. I've created something new before. When I heard about this, I became excited again. I've got 5 to 10 years of my career left, and if I'm able to create something that could benefit the legal system in the country, I'll be so happy. So those are the few words. I haven't prepared anything. I'm certain that I have lots of questions, and if there are questions, I would answer those as honestly as I can.
I would now like to open the floor for questions. At the back.
Hi, Graham Hoskins from the Times newspaper. Graham Hoskins from the Times newspaper. In terms of this team that is being established, can you give an indication of how many people are going to be brought on? Is it going to be just yourself, or are we going to see you bring in other members of the team, or possibly headhunting other senior prosecutors like yourself from the NPO? Thank you.
As you would know, people that should I answer every question now? Should I answer? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
As you know, I believe in a team approach. In court, I get up and I do I look good sometimes, but it's work done by lots of people behind the scenes. So certainly, Mr. Hoskin, there will be a team. We haven't decided on it. I've been given the go-ahead by Afriforum to develop this concept and then to develop my team. So certainly, from where I'm sitting, I would like to get the best people in to do this.
Okay.
Can gone through the stories, everyone always assumed you'd be a career prosecutor, and the fact that you're leaving now is going to create a perception that perhaps your conditions at the NPA may have led you to make this decision. What is your relationship with Sean Abrams, given that he is very much aligned to a person who signed off on your arrest warrant? And what is your perception of the current leadership of the NPA at the moment? Because you're talking about selective prosecutions. Your same organization went after the finance minister on a case that I think a lot of people would argue was quite baseless. So what is you leaving now saying about the integrity of the NPA?
Karen, those are lots of questions and very difficult to answer, and you know it in asking those. But let me answer it in this way. In the office where I'm at the moment, in the local office of the DPP of Pretoria, where we have a brilliant team of prosecutors. I'm as happy as can be in that particular office. That's why I think I took the decision. It's better to take a decision when you still enjoy what you're doing than to take a decision when you're upset about something, when you quarrel with somebody, when you have axe to grind. I don't. I've taken this decision because I think it's a brilliant new concept and I think it's necessary. To answer your question about Mr. Abrams, I've not had a discussion with Mr. Abrams. We've had meetings. In all my years in the NPA, our paths never crossed. Mr. Abrams is the National Director of Prosecutions, and I honor him for that. But myself and Mr. Abrams never had any discussions, definitely not a discussion about my move here. And my perception of the current management at the NPA, Karen, you're correct. It's not only matters where people are not prosecuted, it's also matters where people are prosecuted and the matters are later withdrawn. That's one of the issues that I've raised in my discussion with Mr. Creel, and that is, if we decide to prosecute, we must be 100% sure so that we don't allow somebody to be in court and then withdraw a matter. So that is one of the things that I put on the table. I don't know enough about NPA management at the moment to even venture a view on NPA management.
Apart from the perception of selective prosecution, are there any other frustrations that actually led you to leave the job?
I wouldn't use the word frustration. I would just say challenge. The concept of a private prosecution's office was a challenge for me, a challenge that I had to take. It was offered to me, and I just had to take the challenge of trying to create an office of private prosecution.
Why did you leave within 24 hours and not longer time?
Karel, Sarel, when, as I said, it's been a discussion going back to here. And when I took the decision, I just knew. If I take it, I must do it immediately. I took the decision and I implemented the decision. You know, it's always so easy to be wise after the event. But having followed what happened in the media this morning, I'm so glad there wasn't 30 days of that, but only one day before I would be able to address people and answer their questions. So one is always clever ex post facto, and but Sarel, there's nothing in it except I've taken a decision and I had to implement it.
Hi, thank you for taking this day. Private prosecution in South Africa is really very expensive. For those of us who aren't lawyers, how does it work, or how are you going to manage private prosecution? How are you going to select the cases, and who's going to fund it? So if it's being funded by Afriforum members, the Afriforum group, are they going to have to use that money to prosecute someone to help, I don't know, someone that doesn't relate to them or their community?
Indeed. that is why this is so exciting for me. And that's why when I started, I said that that's an organization that, Afriforum is an organization that was willing to fund this office. It is expensive. Afriforum will fund all private prosecutions. We'll go through a selection criteria. We will select our matters and we'll take our matters on. May I just make it clear that I think the first idea is that we're aiming high, we're going for people that are in the media. When I had discussions, I said, somebody at a local government office that are corrupt, its impact on those people living there is as big as anybody else's. So we will not only go for high flyers, people in high office. We're willing to do cases at local level and any person. Again, there's a challenge. You would know. If somebody brings a matter to us and we decide not to prosecute without valid reason, I'm willing to take the criticism. So it's not only certain political parties that will be prosecuted. I have no political agenda, never had, and I don't have one now. Okay. What happens is, if there's a matter reported, the police will investigate the matter, the police will make the facts available to the prosecuting authority. They will then have to decide to prosecute or not. Once they've decided not to prosecute, we will then apply for a nolli prosecute certificate. In terms of nolli prosecute certificate, you have to show that you have a substantial and peculiar interest in this prosecution, and then the local director of public prosecution will issue a certificate, a nolli prosecute certificate, and you will then use that to institute private prosecution. Then, once that happens, it's a prosecution as usual. Same procedure, same, everything will follow. But firstly, the National Prosecuting Authority may decide, once we apply for a nolli prosecute certificate, to indeed prosecute. We'll be happy. If we don't do any matters, and if we believe that everybody's being prosecuted that should be, we've won. And we've achieved what we want to do.
May I just add, with regard to the question, with regard to Afriforum members funding it, and that we would only have certain cases prosecuted. The fact is, why we're starting this is because we're worried about selective prosecutions. And that is why we're not going to be selective ourselves. We will look, the only criteria is this person acting unlawfully? Is he looting taxpayers' money? Is he acting to the detriment of people of this country? And of course, is he not prosecuted by the National Prosecuting Authority, even though he should be or she should be prosecuted? And if those criteria are met, we would most definitely go ahead without, as they say, fear, favor, or prejudice.
Right.
Maybe microphone, just get the mic.
Mark from Gerrie. For someone who's been in the industry as long as you have, you must have discussed this to some extent with fellow people within the NPA. What has been the reaction of your friends and enemies within the NPA about your decision to make this move?
Firstly, you would know that we kept it a secret till yesterday. So I haven't discussed this at length with very many people. Certainly the people that I've discussed it with, as you say, I got lots of support, and I'm sure that there will be people that would not support me. But the people that matters to me, they supported me. And for me, that's enough. I've always had support, and I still have.
This one.
I'm just going to go from the in terms of the type of prosecutions that you're going to be doing, is it only going to be corruption, or will it be the other cases as well, where people are feeling that they're not getting the justice that they need to say from the police or the NPA as well? And the second question that I had, in terms of you getting the certificate from the NPA to to go ahead and prosecute. Are there concerns by either Afriforum or yourself that there could be a delay in the NPA issuing these certificates, especially if you're going after so-called politically connected people?
The two questions there. Firstly, the main focus would be on selective prosecutions, and I think there's a perception that you find selective prosecutions as far as corruption matters are concerned. But Mr. Askin, certainly, if we have aggrieved people and they bring a matter to us and we believe in the matter, we will take it on. It's not only corruption matters. We'll take on other matters if it meets our criteria. Your second question was? Sorry, Mr. Askin.
If there was concern that the NPA might delay in issuing certificates.
As I said, I believe 100% in our courts and our court system, the integrity of our courts. If there's any delay, we'll use the normal processes in enforcing compliance with what the NPA should be doing.
Anton Meyer from Pretoria FM. Are you only focusing on the public sector, or are you taking the private sector? Are you taking people that are private sector individuals that are corrupt? Will you take them on as well?
Anton, Anton, as I've just said, our main focus is to make sure that all's equal before the law. Now, if I say that, it includes everyone. It's not only political people, it's not only public figures, it's everyone. So certainly we'll take on every person as long as there's this idea that we're dealing with selective prosecutions. That is what we want to address.
Mr. Nel, Karen Torres from the NCA. Just on the elephant in the room, the President, Afriforum has laid charges against the President before, and looking at the charges, the 780 80 odd, can you say anything to that?
Anton, as I've said, Gerard, as I said, we will not do that. We will not, through the media, even indicate who we're looking at until such time that we've decided to prosecute the matter. The matter that you're referring to, there's a whole process on the way, and we'll follow the process with interest. But no, we will not identify any target, if you want to call it a target, or subject of an investigation, I think is a better word at this stage.
But what we are willing to say that is nobody is above the law. Doesn't matter who you are.
Karen.
Will ordinary members of the public be able to approach you with cases, or is it going to be solely Afriforum members who can raise cases for prosecution?
As Mr. Kriel said, anybody can approach us. It's not only for Afriforum members. That's why I took up this challenge. It's not a challenge for a group of people. It's a challenge. I think it's necessary for the country, and that's why I took it up. I would not have taken it up if it was only for a select few. So, yes, the service or the office, the capacity we create is to ensure just one thing, that everybody is equal before the law, and that we address the perception of selective prosecutions.
Good afternoon, Barry Bateman, Eyewitness News. Mr. Nel, there is the issue that you know has been in the media for some time now related to your implication in Project Sunday Evenings or the ongoing investigation of the Rogue Unit. Does you leaving the NPA now not perhaps make it easier or open that door for these people who have this vendetta or whatever it is to now prosecute you? And then just, you have said you leave behind a very good team, but there is still one final phase left in the Pistorius matter at the SCA. What's going to be happening there? Thank you.
Let me answer the second question first. As far as the Pistorius case is concerned, I'm not leaving only that matter. I've been involved in quite a few matters, and I'm 100% convinced that the juniors that worked with me, my team that worked with me, will be more than competent enough to take those matters through and to ensure that justice is done. As far as the investigation against me is concerned, of course, I thought I contemplated what the perceptions might be, but certainly I'm not concerned. I've got a job to do, and I'm excited to do the job that I am, that I've been given, and we'll deal with everything as it comes.
I just want to add to that. The fact is, we will stand by Advocate Gerrie Nel. So if those trumped-up charges are taken any further, we have indicated, or we are indicating now that we will support him right through the process. And the fact that there's an effort to try and prosecute him, or there's a perception that there might be such an effort, is actually one of the reasons why we've started this organization, is exactly to try and stop the prosecuting authority being abused for something else than what it should be. It should be an organization that makes sure that the law is implemented without fear, favor, or prejudice, and it is not abused. So we will definitely support Advocate Nel if such a thing happens.
At the back.
Good morning, good day, and clear luck to all. I'm Giovanni Madani from ANN7. The question is, we have heard that Afriforum is working closely with private investigator Paul O'Sullivan, and would it be possible to confirm whether Mr. Nel and Mr. O'Sullivan will be working together? The second question is, there are reports about the document called Join the Dots, which identifies people who will be investigated. Will this document now be given to Mr. Nel?
Let me just try and answer it, and then I'll hand over to Mr. Kriel. I haven't met Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. I haven't been given a join the dots. I've been given a clean slate. I've been given an office to establish. I've been given a task to do. As I said, anybody could bring us matters, but no, I haven't met with Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. I haven't started this office based on a document that I haven't seen. I hope that answers your question, but then I also want to say is that anybody can bring us cases, anybody can bring us information that they want us to pursue, and we will do that.
Yes, I just want to also speak to that issue. There are some conspiracy theories with regard to that specific document, and one of the theories are that Afriforum or myself has been involved on the 6th of December last year in a braai occasion where Mr. O'Sullivan and Mr. McBride were present. I don't know if the people that thought out the story thought it would be more credible if they say it was a braai, to think that Afriforum would then be there. But we do occasionally not attend the braai occasion, and that was one of them. And we indicated right away that that is a conspiracy theory. We were not involved in any such meeting. Nobody from our side ever met with Mr. McBride whatsoever. And the fact is, it was also said that the decision was made on that meeting of the 6th of December to publish this Join the Dots document. There is a little problem with that conspiracy theory in the fact that that document was released on the 1st of December already, 6 days before the so-called braai. So we're not people that can see into the future, so we did not bring out a document and say, well, that is something we're going to decide on the 6th of December. So there's no truth in that. The fact is, Afriforum has made certain revelations together with Mr. O'Sullivan, and the fact is, Advocate Nel would have this unit now with his own team, and people can bring their information for him for consideration, and of course that will also include documents that can be brought forward by Mr. O'Sullivan.
Yes, at the back. Ja, excuse, kry net die microfoon. Dankie.
I know you don't want to name any names and you haven't decided yet what your path ahead will be, but will you be looking at old files? Will you dust off some of the old files? Lying at
Yes, certainly we'll look at anything, Zelda. We just want to ensure that we create an office that will ensure that there's no selective prosecutions. If we have to dust up old files, we will. So, yes, there's nothing that we will not do, but certainly we will make our decisions and then prosecute from there.
Karen?
I know you've been very, I think the word I'm looking for is tactful about the NPA. But effectively, you are saying that an organization that is constitutionally mandated to act without fear or favor may be doing the exact opposite of that. And your departure from the NPA is going to be seen as a vote of no confidence.
As I said, I used the word, there's a perception. Remember, I said there's a perception of selective prosecutions. That's the first thing we'll have to do, is to ensure if that perception is correct. If that perception is correct, and I'm not saying it is, if it's correct, then certainly you might be right. But if it's not correct, then certainly we'll say so.
But are you taking the risk to investigate or to see if that perception is right by giving up your job at the NPA, just to look at and see if that perception is indeed correct?
Yes, I think it's absolutely a challenge to create such an office, to be able to do that, to ensure that justice is done. I'm here because of the challenge. I'm here because we're creating something new. I'm very excited to doing that.
But if that perception is incorrect, then you'll be unemployed.
Indeed.
Maybe I can just say that we are hopeful that in the end this unit would be the victim of its own success. And as Advocate Nel indicated, if there is equality before the law and not selective prosecutions, there is no need for such a unit. But we must also remember in this process, Advocate Nel is an advocate that has to act in a court, and an advocate is not an activist, even though people might feel it starts with the same alphabet letter. So from Afriforum's side, I think we can take a stance to say we are worried about selective prosecution and the implications of if you can't send out the message that nobody is above the law. And that is why we decided to approach Advocate Nel. And we believe the mere presence here, if a dog is able to bite, then sometimes you only need to bark. And for us, the mere presence of him in such a unit sends out a message that people in positions are going to be held accountable to do their job thoroughly. And if they don't do it thoroughly, then we are in a position to take it further. And just that mere fact is already a huge step forward in the interest of everybody in the country.
Marijke from Jacaranda said, just again, it follows on what Arnold said now. And obviously you've been saying that you want to, there's nothing specific, whatever people bring to you. But you don't have, like, infinite resources. There's a thing where people SMS to donate money, the money comes from you. So there's a finite amount of money that you can look at when prosecuting. So obviously you can't necessarily do everything. So is that a concern for you? How do you then decide? Because you say there's criteria, but what if there's a possibility of a massive case and loads of possibilities of smaller ones? How do you decide which one you end up doing because you only have X amount of money? And then are you concerned with some people viewing Afriforum in a specific light, that people might be hesitant to contribute to this, to contribute to a body that is effectively there to regulate and make sure that everyone is equal before the law?
No, we're not worried about that fact. The fact is we have been receiving support from a vast number of people, either becoming members. That's why we have more than 180,000 members at the moment in Afriforum. If you look at the broad solidarity movement, we have more than 400,000 members as part of that, if you include our membership. So we get a lot of support. What we're seeing on grassroots level in terms of our local community initiatives is that we get large support for that. As I've said, in terms of our community safety initiatives, we've signed an agreement 2 weeks ago with the South African Police Service. We work with taxi associations. So we are able to work quite strongly with a large number of people. The problem is where it comes in, and in terms of this perception and why it doesn't worry me that much, if you are successful as a watchdog organization, you are bound to make enemies, even though you don't necessarily want that. But if you're successful and keep people accountable, then you would make enemies. Then the easiest way for those people would be to just simply discredit you by saying, putting in, trying to create a certain perception about you. And of course, our challenge is to just know that we are doing the right thing and to go ahead. One of the biggest costs of private prosecution is, of course, to have an advocate and all those fees in court and so forth. But we are in a position now that we have that. We have the support of 185,000 people that support us every month, which gives us enough resources to make sure that when we go to court, we are strong and we can do the best job possible. And the fact that we have Advocate Gerrie Nel as he won't say it, but I believe he's probably the best prosecutor. We have him, so I'm confident that we can take this on. And we have in the past been able to go to court with our opponents being much bigger than we are. The Zimbabwean government, in terms of the house that we've auctioned in Cape Town, it was a 5-year legal process. People said, well, is this possible? Can a civil organization take on a government? It can be done, and we are confident that we will be able to do this and that we will do it quite well.
At the back.
In terms of the criteria that you're going to be looking at for take on a case, are you able to say what these criteria are going to be? I mean, does it have to be a certain amount of millions that have been looted from state coffers? And then also, in terms of this parallel justice system that is going to be set up, because I mean, let's face it, it's going to be a team of people prosecuting cases that for whatever reason, political or otherwise, are not being prosecuted by the NPA. What is your ideas around a parallel justice system like this?
Firstly, I wish we had this meeting in a month's time or 2 months' time, and I had time to work on a criteria we haven't had. It's a concept. We're working on the concept. Mr. Hoskin, as we go, we'll create the criteria. It all depends on what we get in, on what cases are available, on what people would want to share with us. It's way too early for me to indicate to you what the criteria is. As far as the parallel justice system is concerned, I don't think that is. I think there's one justice system. I support the one justice system. We have a national prosecuting authority. If they prosecute matters, we have no right. We have no right to prosecute matters that they prosecute. So it's only, I don't think it's parallel. It's only once the main prosecution authority decided not to, that we'll just pick those matters up, and if there's any merit in them, to prosecute them. So I don't see that as parallel. I would see them as just ensuring that justice is done.
If I can just add on to that, and the question that we're going to have thousands of cases and that we won't have the resources to do that. What we've seen in many municipalities is that sometimes you are ignored, but the first case that you go to court and you win that case, municipalities become cautious, and the next time they don't make the same mistake. So what we intend to do is, even if we just have a few cases that we are successful with, those people that in the end need to make a decision within the system if prosecution is going to take place or not, they would know that they are not untouchable to make a decision, well, we're simply not going to prosecute and nobody can do anything about it. If people know that there is a watchdog organization watching, and you have a case where you do private prosecution, it would be egg in the face of those people that decided not to prosecute. So we believe that even if we have just a few cases, it would have a huge impact in solving the problem of selective prosecutions.
Does anyone have another question?
No, if I could just be here from Tanzania.
if I can just understand, in the instant when a case has been taken by the NPA and is withdrawn during court process, would you still then have merit to take the case on?
Yeah. If a matter is withdrawn and not enrolled again, that is the same as the matter has not been prosecuted. Then certainly you will have a right to apply for a nolle prosecute certificate.
Okay, last question. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
All right, well, you've just been watching those live proceedings from Pretoria where Gerrie Nel and Afriforum just gave a briefing about his resignation from the National Prosecuting Authority and starting to work with the NGO Afriforum. Now, Afriforum said this is a big day for them as Gerrie Nel will be the head of the prosecutions department as of tomorrow. They said theirs is to fight corruption in this country and they will be taking over any cases that the NPA deems unprosecutable for various reasons. They also said that they have taken this route in order to make sure that everybody is heard and is afforded their right to fair prosecution as well as legal services. And Gerrie said this wasn't a sudden decision for him and that this debate about his future started about a year ago. He also said he believes that everyone should be equal before the law, and he told the media that he has heard about the so-called selected prosecutions and this was basically the #1 reason he joined Afriforum. He did challenge the media to follow him at his new job, criticize them if they needs be, and he said he would like to assemble the best people for his team in order to ensure a well-oiled machine. He also said that Afriforum will fund their private prosecutions, adding that they are willing to do cases at local level and they are open to any person who needs their assistance. And on the question about the charges that are supposedly to be laid against him, he said he's got nothing to hide. And Mr. Creel of Afriforum said basically this is initially the reason they started this organization, to ensure that the state institutions are not being abused for personal gains. And Nel reiterated that he has never and still has no political agenda. He also added that they will not identify the target of their investigation, but everyone must know that no one is above the law. Let's now turn our attention to another big story of the day. Let's cross live to the Grace Bible Church for a quick dip into the proceedings at the memorial service of late gospel artist Lundi Kiamag.
Hey, Nkosi yami, safaka ke budget, safaka ibudget komba. Thixo Nkosi iculile. Kuzawusimanga. We were so shocked. The album never did well. And samangala ukuthi kuthini. And ndizoyiva loo nto after iminyaka emininzi. Andifuna uyichaza ke baba thina abantu baseSwaziland. Because ndingavalelwa ndingasangeni eSwaziland. Kodwa ke kuthiwa noba waluza loo mali zakho washiyeka nonkosikazi. Naba ke abantwana bakhe. Ebenento kayenzayo ke wafika memorial service kaSiphiwo Khanyile waza kum wathi ndizawukhwela staging andiyazi ndizawucula ntoni ndithi undolatha kwethini uthi hayi ndizawukhwela staging andiyazi ndizawucula ntoni ndifuna unilandele xa ndisithi athi abe hambe ndishiya ndithixo lo mntana xa fika staging nyani ke aqale nje ngebhadi andiqonda ngelaka ndiyayazi le ngoma hey ndive kukho into esikayo kum ebenaloo nto ke xecula abenento esikayo ngaphakathi sike sathi sipracticele ialbum yakhe phaa endlini sihleli ndim naye noGodfrey Nzuza iproducer kaMessi Phakela noCharles uGodfrey Overa was screama nje omnye umhlola wento engayazi ngendlela ulunde beyenze benendlela elula yokupenetrate inhliziyo yomuntu so bazalwane andinamagama athini silahlekelwe kakhulu nguLundi besimthanda kakhulu kodwa ke nezulu siyayazi ligainile kakhulu kodwa ndidawuqala selingathi hey amadoda strong kwelacala singathi simbalwa ngoku amadoda strong oPastor Benjamin noThina isandla sigcwala izozibini kodwa hluthi uyabala kwelacala hey ku strong kakhulu Thixo nisikelele nibulisa nefamily yakwaKyamaga besimthanda kakhulu Amen.